Welcome to the Madison Park Podcast. We're so glad you're here. Join us each week as we recap messages and take a deeper look at what God is doing in the community. For more information, find us on socials or visit madisonpark.church.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mad Park Pod, as we're calling it. That's a thing, so you should check it out. It would be great if you did. If you're here, you are checking it out, which makes me even happier. This is week 2 of No Offense, which I'm really excited about. We're discussing it. Couple new faces. This is Kenzie. She's the funniest person I know.
Thank you.
It's true. I want to call her my co-host, but I haven't talked her into that yet. And then you guys know Heather. And then this is Sky. Sky's on staff. Can you say hi, Sky?
Hi, Sky.
Perfect. That's right. He does all of our video stuff and social stuff. He's brilliant and creative, and it's awesome. So super excited to have you here. All right. So just curious, right off the bat, how was your week? Did anything funny happen? Did you guys have anything good? We are going to tell a tiny horse story, which is kind of funny. But you guys got anything?
I don't think it's been a funny week for me. It's been a full, busy week. But,
I mean, good stuff?
yeah, good stuff. You know, you just have some weeks that are, every minute is full, and some weeks that it's not. But this has been pretty full.
Well, I realized last week, so you guys should go back and watch last week's episode. It was super fun. We can link it in the description if you want. But Heather was not here because she was waiting on a dryer.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
And I realized I like the way that my brain works. I really wish that that's how precise I could be in life. Like with the dryer, because they're like, we'll be there between 10 and 5 p.m.
Yeah.
That's
They're
how
like, we'll be here because they're like, give this 2-hour window, and 2-hour window passes.
Right.
And then you're just waiting. And I just can't take it.
Right? I mean, so just imagine that world where it's like, hey, the meeting will start sometime between 10 and noon. We'll see you there. It's like perfect.
But it's because my washer and my dryer both bit the dust like simultaneously.
User error or?
No, it's not user error.
That's a genuine question.
I know how to use a washer and dryer at this point in my life.
No, I know that, but like you could have, like, did you leave something in a pocket? Did you? I don't know. I feel like there's lots of ways.
No,
that could
it
go
was
bad.
like cracked water all over
Oh, gross.
the floor.
Did you get matching ones?
Those were matching, but yeah, I did get matching ones. But I decided I wanted like the basic, like the kind my grandma has.
Perfect.
Like no
On or
electronic,
off. Yep.
nothing. I want to turn the dial and push on.
That's right.
That's how I know I'm getting old.
Drive
I'm like, that's it. Because in my mind, that has less or fewer things that could break.
Yeah. So we recently, by recently, it was a couple years ago, the salesman was like, hey, what are you guys looking for? And he's like walking us around. And he was super nice, but he's like, now this one has got Wi-Fi. Like, you can be anywhere in the world and you can communicate with it. And I'm like, why would I communicate? He's like, if you wanted to start your washer while you were in California. I'm like,
who's putting the clothes in?
This?
Yeah.
I just loved it. It was
Yeah.
such a hard sell. And I was like, no, I don't want that. Please
Yeah.
don't make me have that. Anyway, Sky, you got anything?
Nothing crazy.
Nothing
Nothing.
at all? You went to the doctor this week.
Yeah,
Was that life-changing?
not really.
Like just a checkup.
Basically, yeah.
Just like, hey.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting older.
I'm getting older. Yeah, I'm an old man.
That's right.
I don't think doctor checkups actually check up on anything. I feel like doctor checkups, they weigh you, they see how tall you are, they look in your ears and nose, and they go, you seem good.
Well, you've got weight.
I know.
And you're breathing.
I know.
It's all good things.
You're not really like, I don't know how you would know anything.
I don't know.
Really. I mean,
So I'll try to steer this thing back on track. I'm sorry. These are the things that fascinate me, but whatever. So we're in week 2 of No Offense, which, again, we kind of said this last week, but it's not by chance that in a political season we're doing a series on offense.
correct.
I wish, it would be a lot funnier if it was like, oops. But, it's not. So I thought, like, we were just talking through. There's a lot of things to discuss from the message, but you shared at the beginning kind of our mission statement, which is we exist to show people who Jesus is. And last week, if you watched, we talked about how that wasn't offensive 50 years ago, but like that idea is really offensive now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just be curious, like, or at least I feel like it's offensive.
Well,
Do you-
I deliberately wanted something with Jesus in the mission because I knew that would be a dividing line moving forward. I think moving into, post-Christian and things like that, I just knew that would be a line in the sand. And anything less than that could just kind of throw you in the pot with everything else.
Yeah.
And so that was
Yeah.
intentional.
Well, and I think it's funny. I think actually Kinsey was the one who said that. Actually, sorry, I'm going to pause for 1 second. I call you Kinsey.
Yeah,
Is that what people call you?
mostly.
Okay. Because Bethany corrected me. She's like, Mackenzie? I'm like, I don't know. Is that the same person?
Either way.
Like, have I been called
I
you
go
the
by
wrong
many
name for
names.
you yet? Yeah, that's right. But like, she brought it up that it's funny how stuff is sort of flip-flopped in
Yeah.
the world, where it's like things that you would never even talk about are like on TV now,
Mm-hmm.
and things that were really sort of fundamental to our lives are now offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this ironic place of like we're living in backwards world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like you see that in scripture where the church was sort of like so countercultural, and I feel like that's where we're at now. And so having a mission statement that's sort of rooted in the reality of Jesus is kind of a beautiful thing. But it's also like real. I mean, we live in that place of like I was even, you guys all have social media, and I'm the worst social media or whatever that would be. But like literally everything is offensive. Like if
Yeah.
regardless of what side you're on, it's like
Right.
it's just troll. It's like troll
Mhm.
city right now. But I saw somebody who not on a church staff, just a person that goes to a church locally here, who wrote like, it was sort of harmless, or was honest, but was like, hey, just remember, like, our hope isn't found in politicians. It's like, rooted in this idea that
Yeah.
God is in control, like that simple.
Yeah.
And he got flamed by church people, where I'm like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Heather brought something up that was super interesting about being diplomatic a minute ago before we started, and I want to revisit that. So we are doing a series, so this is a shameless plug, starting October 13th, which is in a couple weeks, called Dark Horses. And so I had this idea. Dark Horses is sort of like you never saw this person coming,
Yeah.
and they sort of like
the
win.
unlikely person, the unlikely hero.
And so I was like, what's more unlikely, like a more unlikely hero than like a mini horse? Not a pony, not a donkey, a mini horse. If you don't know what it is, you should Google it. Sometimes known as a midget horse. Is
No.
that PC?
If
I
you
don't-
think midget horse or small horse, I think a lot of people are going to go where I went with Lil Sebastian.
Lil Sebastian.
It's not short legs. It's not unproportionate
Yes.
or disproportionate. It's a proportional small horse is what you're
Yes.
referring to.
Right. Because
we're
they
going
look-
somewhere with this, right?
Yes. So Heather immediately hated this idea.
I did not say to you, I hate this idea. I did think to myself, he can't be serious.
I was.
I
thought it
this,
would be lighthearted.
well, and I was trying to figure, and this was happening via text, and so I couldn't hear your tone. You couldn't hear my tone. And so I was trying to figure out how to be diplomatic in case you were serious, but at the same time convey that perhaps the direction
So
was not okay.
So Heather was just asking if being diplomatic is sort of equal to being dishonest.
Yes. Now, that comes from because I talk to so many people it's my job. I talk to people. And
Not animals.
I feel like all the time, although I do like talking animals. Like any commercial with a talking animal, I'm in all the way.
So I just love that you define that. I talk to a lot of people. Just so you know, I'm not doing the animal talking anymore.
Well, okay, and so what is getting worse and worse and worse is when people talk to me, they are telling me of a situation in their life, of a story or a problem, and they're trying to be so diplomatic, I can't even get to the root of the thing. Like, it's like, so these people during a time said some words, and then I said some words, and now I don't know what to do. And then I'm just like,
It sounds like you were vague.
what do you want me to do that? Well, I don't want to. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. I'm like, but I can't. How am I supposed to have a conversation? Like, I
I have
don't
no context.
no context. And I have this conversation with the people on staff, with y'all, because they'll come to me with this like issue, and they're like, so this thing happened, and I'm like, and someone was involved. I'm just like, help me help you. Like, I don't know how to
There's
do
nothing to do with
this.
this. Well,
Yeah.
and I think part of that, like what we were talking about, is the truth, if delivered poorly, can be offensive and
Yes.
like build up a wall that doesn't need to be there. But sort of the inverse of that is true. Like if you're too diplomatic, you're like, I'm not sure what we're talking about.
I know. I
Where are
know.
we?
I know. And I
So-
feel like because everybody's so afraid of
Yeah.
being offensive, because like you said on social media, everybody gets like railed for like whatever they say, that everyone turns into this like vague, it's nebulous, fearful, political, and we can't just be honest.
Yeah.
Like, just be honest. You can be kind and be honest. Being honest
Yeah.
is being kind.
Well, and it's loving. I think that's the thing. There's something about the truth is like saying, I know you can handle this, number one. And number two, I care enough about you to not gloss it over. So I thought I would share this text chain. So I sent Heather, just so this is Heather being diplomatic. I sent her a picture, and to sort of give you...
Of tiny, small horses that you said were supposed to be the graphic, the picture, the symbol of a series I'm working on called Dark Horses.
Yeah. Well, it's the ultimate dark horse. It literally is the anyway. Okay. So I sent her this picture. It's a normal sized horse, but it's out of the frame to illustrate how tiny this other horse is, and it has the information on it. And and the next text I got from her was, I can't tell if you're being serious. Which this is her being diplomatic.
No, because
And I
that's me
said-
trying to decide. Because if he's not being serious, well, then ha ha ha. But if he is being serious, I don't want to crush his spirit while also telling him that that's a horrible idea.
So I said, what's more underdog than mini horses? I mean, honestly, have you seen them run? And you said, this is true, and it is funny, followed by a face like this.
Like the emoji. I just
the
start
emoji.
sending emojis.
And she said, I don't know if I can get there on this one. And I said, what, on mini horses? They're great. And she said, I mean, I love mini horses. Who doesn't? And I said, honestly, this is my favorite thing you've ever hated.
I mean, yeah.
Anyway, that's Heather being diplomatic. But I do think that's true. Like in this especially season, I hate that word.
I do too. It's overused. We need
It
to be
is.
done.
In this era,
How do you feel about
Yeah.
the word season?
I mean, they're year round, so
Do you
We're always in one.
ever
Yeah.
use the word season? Like, this is my season.
not really. It's more of a reflective. That was a season.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you in now?
But
then?
you're Gen X, and I feel like Gen X doesn't use that word. I feel like millennials use that word.
Okay, what word do we use instead?
What do,
word?
what do you say?
Where are you right now? Are you in a season?
Are
I
you
mean,
in
this is a
season?
season. Yeah. I'd
Season.
say new job season. Yeah.
He was just sharing offline.
Would you say
that-
season?
I would say era.
Ooh, Taylor Swift.
What
I
I do
don't
what
love
I do
Taylor Swift.
offline.
It's not that I don't like her.
Oh wow,
Who are we
It's
talking
just
about?
that she's not my genre as much.
it's fair.
What
But I don't have any animosity towards her.
This just got political.
It got
Careful,
political.
guys.
Okay, so who do you like?
So offended.
I am more into the rap and hip hop genre.
Oh, say more. Yes. Yeah, you are.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
of course.
And you would not put Taylor Swift in that, right?
No, she did do a song with Kendrick Lamar
That's true.
Counts.
That's fair.
Counts.
many eras ago.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, I would say era. All of that boiling down to, instead of season, I would say era.
Era.
Interesting.
I'm in my substitute teacher era.
Okay.
Love that.
I feel like that's too big. Too big of a
Yeah.
scope.
There's many.
I didn't say
eras of
eon.
Sky. Oh. See?
Stage. You could say stage.
Oh, I don't like that.
Oh,
I don't.
no.
Stage? Isn't that how you describe
Period.
That's
Isn't-
how I describe my children.
Stage?
Stages.
Well, that's what I mean, like,
this is the
that's-
potty training stage.
Or like tadpoles. I remember being like, "This is the tad." Like,
What were we
could
talking
say-
about? What are we
you could
talking
say
about?
We're talking
age.
about me.
Well, we were talking about seasons, and like especially in this season, like diplomacy is out the window, and it's just straight to we're all offended, and everyone swings to one of these sort of things. So that's what we're talking about. One thing I definitely want to get to, because we have limited time today, is will you give the analogy of the puffer fish for people who weren't here maybe? Would you share the puffer fish illustration?
I mean, I could share it,
You can-
but I feel like it's not quite as adequate. Okay, so I'll share it, but then you need to go Google
Well, we can link the
puffer
photo.
fish. So there's a fish called a puffer fish, and if you look at the puffer fish in its natural state, it just looks like a normal fish. Thin. It just looks like a normal fish. But when a puffer fish gets riled up or offended or feels threatened, it blows. It blows up. All I can try to do is like, how can I be a puffer fish? It's like, it's
Yeah.
just like.
It's like a balloon.
Like the
you blew
whole
in-
body blows up into a big, huge
Yeah.
balloon.
I think people know what a puffer fish is.
As seen in Finding Nemo
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a fish balloon
Yes. And
with spikes.
with
yes. And it's supposed to keep other predators away, because it's like, oh, and that is so much like what we're like when we're offended. We like puff ourselves up. We're offended. We build these walls. We want to keep people, away because we don't want to feel pain. We don't want to feel hurt. We don't want someone to question us or our character. And the thing is, and I didn't say this in the sermon, but I just think we feel threatened so easily. Like,
Yeah.
so easily. And that's why it's so hard often, I think, to, when people look at the church, because we act just like everybody else, where it's like we're just easily offended and we get so mad and we get all riled up and we just lash out and join in with the rest of the crowd, and we lose our sense of peace.
yeah.
That just allows us to be in our normal state, which our normal state as a believer should be peaceful.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. But yeah.
Well, so I was thinking about that analogy, and you guys can chime in like whenever. But like the other thing is, because of this sort of heightened sensitivity to everything, and we puff up like the pufferfish, that takes a lot of energy to live in that. And so it's no wonder that we live in this sort of drained sort of state. And then on top of that, when you are tired, like we've talked about this before, when you have no energy or whatever, you're more sensitive to that. So it's like, again, it's this weird cycle of offense. And I think, I'm trying to think of how to describe this in a way that like, would make sense. But like, and maybe using the bait idea, we almost go looking for it, which is the other part where it's like, I don't think no one wants to live offended all the time. That's not like a,
Yeah, I wish that were true.
but I mean,
wish that were true.
and maybe I'm wrong there. Do people want to be offended?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know how to live unoffended. Like people who, like, I often see so often, like when someone doesn't know how to live outside of drama, they create drama. because that's what's actually normal to them. And to live unoffended is so outside the norm for so many people. It's just it's like, just go looking for offense. It's just so sensitive and so, but
Well, it almost gives like a fake sense of purpose.
oh yeah, for Christians for sure, because we're supposed to be right. We're right, you know, like that's our job. Our job is to be right, and
Yeah, we
Yeah.
messed that up. Honestly. Well, I mean, and that was a point in the message of the idea of, are you holding on to being right versus being forgiven? That's like one of the things. Like I know we were briefly talking about that, but there's something weird where. And I don't know why it feels natural to fight for rightness, but there's like, I think being married, there's something weird where we're like no longer fighting for like what is actually right, but just to be right.
oh for sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's probably some examples in there. Allie's like knows. So a lot of times I'll just be like, it doesn't matter if I'm right. I just want like what's good. Like can we have the conversation? But I think that's the one sort of pitfall that I see, especially right now, for people who are in churches. Like we want to fight to be right, and you don't see Jesus doing that, almost to a fault, where you're like,
Say something, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, say it. Like tell Pilate that
right,
like, you're innocent. Like just defend yourself.
But then that's the banner we wave, and it like brings on in society this idea that like Christians just want to be right. People following Jesus are about rightness. And it's like, I don't really feel all that right. I do feel like the Lord made a way when it wasn't possible. So it's just an interesting like how far you can get off brand.
Okay, but because I was working on that next message today. So here's the thing. Christians, like we have to be right. We have an inability to let someone else tell us where we're wrong on things that are absolute truth and right. Like, so I have just found it doesn't matter how kind, diplomatic, soft, hold hands I am with someone. If I am telling them the truth or confronting sin or saying like, hey, this
Yeah.
has to stop.
Yeah.
I mean, all bets are off, man. Like, I mean, people are like angry. It's most people, not all people,
Yeah.
but the majority, it just takes them back. Like, and I just find that we don't have an ability to even practice like biblical conflict resolution or biblical, truth telling in a kind and loving way with all the pure motivation, because we just can't handle the idea of being wrong.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's harming like the church's ability to stand for truth and to be able to be in community, because you can't be in community if you can't be honest with the people in your community.
Right.
So you have a community where everybody feels good, and nobody's being challenged, but nobody's being honest.
Yeah, I mean and again,
I might be taking this down a whole different
no,
tangent.
I mean that's
I was just working on it this morning, and I was like, man, yeah.
well, and I think the hard part, you can win an argument and be no better off.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think like, you and I have talked about this probably to a crazy degree, but the idea of the only way to grow is to have some honest evaluation of where you are, meaning the truth, right? So I think the analogy we've used, because I use analogies for everything, and they're usually not great, which I think is probably what makes them great, where it's like
Tiny horses.
so close. It was just so close. but like it's with fitness. Like you cannot improve your health or get more fit if you don't know where you are. You know? And so, you know, I think as I've like walked with the Lord, and it's probably true in fitness. I clearly don't work out, which, you know, I like said that like it was a badge of honor. Like, I don't work out. You know? Anyway, but the point being, like, my walk with the Lord, in order for that to grow, has to be rooted in some truth. Like you know, and this has been a season. You know, we have 3 kids, and it's been really hard to be consistent with time with the Lord. And so the honest truth is, like, those days where you feel sort of empty or dry or aimless or whatever, you could say to me, oh, it'll get better. You know, probably just try a little harder. Or the truth is, like, you have to go, well, what's your time like with the Lord? Like, how consistent is it? And that's the only way it gets better. And so I think that's the hard part about diplomacy, or even that idea of like fighting for rightness, is if the truth is hidden, you cannot go forward. Like you can't grow through that.
So I feel like I don't, Kenzie, so we're getting to know each other. I feel like I would know what the answer would be for you too, but I still want you all to answer it.
Okay.
So like on a scale of 1 to 10, if 1 is I hate it, I can't take it, it hurts my feelings deeply, and 10 is I love it, I receive it. Where are you on receiving feedback, or like receiving truth? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like it depends.
But I mean like receiving it, not like saying, oh, thank you, but then internally
Yeah.
being angry.
Let me give you a category to help. So category 1 would be with your work. How are you at receiving feedback on something that you're working on?
I would say probably like a 7 or an 8, because ultimately I just want it to be the best it can be and be better. So if you have something to say that like I'm not seeing, or I can't like get past what's in front of me, I need to see it from a different perspective or someone else's perspective of whether it's like artistically what I'm doing or in any other part of my work, like I want it to be better. So even if it might kind of be like, oh man, I didn't get it right the first try, like that's why I would say maybe like a 7 or an 8.
So I love that you didn't say 10. So why don't you say 10?
Because it's never like fun to hear.
Yeah.
But it's still helpful. And even if it kind of hurts or like, oh man, I didn't get it right the first time, like it's still best to be able to grow and improve. Like there's always a way to improve. So it's definitely helpful to hear. But
Okay. Do we know her? And do you know your Enneagram number? What is it?
3.
Love 3s. I love 3s. I love 3s.
Did you just become best friends?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Okay, what about you?
Classic church
Okay.
movie, right?
Anagram number or answer?
Well, I know your Enneagram number, but give me your answer.
I think for me it depends on like what the feedback's on. So if I work really hard on something, spend a lot of time, and I finish it, and someone says, "Oh, that looks great. You should have done this instead," I would have been like, "Thanks for the feedback. You should have told me that before I started." So it depends on like what the feedback's on. But in the end, like I know feedback's good. It's all meant with good intent. Most of it is.
Well, is feedback like salad?
What?
I don't know. Is this another tiny horse?
I don't
Ow.
like salad.
Is that? She hates tiny horses.
I don't.
No, like salad's one of those things where like you don't really want it,
I do.
I
but
do
you know
too.
that it's
Good
good for
one.
you.
I love a Caesar. I
Yes,
love
a
a Caesar
Little
salad.
Caesars,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is a Caesar salad good for you?
It has
No.
anchovies in the sauce.
Okay, what's a food that's good
didn't
for
know
you?
that.
Yeah,
Not-
that's what makes it a Caesar.
Not food made
It's
for
like
rabbits.
ranch, but it has anchovies in
Well,
it.
what does the word
That's why it's
Caesar
not-
have to do with anchovies?
They
It
love
was
that.
created by someone. It isn't actually Italian or like related to Julius Caesar. It was created by someone with the name like Caesar, I think,
Oh, I like
in
her
like
so
Mexico.
Don't worry, I'm googling it. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
But I know
But the
I don't
analogy-
like anchovies, but I love a Caesar. So I just forget about that fact.
Interesting.
So sorry that I made you aware of that.
No, that's fantastic.
I actually stopped eating it because when I found that out, I was like,
That's
oh
weird.
yeah, that's it.
So, okay, so not work category. What about like a relationship? You're married, you're dating. Sorry, ladies, he's taken, but you're dating. So,
And she's great.
And- yeah.
She's fantastic.
She's really great.
Yeah.
what about that? Like, your significant other offers you feedback.
I think we know how Heather
Yeah.
feels about that. The air quotes. They
Feedback.
give you feedback.
How are you?
Pretty good. I mean, I
Really?
feel like in my relationship, feedback is almost part of our core of our relationship. Like it's constant feedback.
Oh, blah, blah. Okay, fine. And you're
And you're not married yet, so just wait.
I'm fine.
Like, yeah, I feel like I easily get passive aggressive,
Okay.
and I can read on that and be like, okay, I am being passive aggressive, but there's no reason to be passive aggressive.
Interesting.
So I think keeping that feedback loop
Huh.
helps me not to be passive aggressive.
That's good.
Yeah, because I don't want to be passive aggressive.
No, I get that. What about you?
Well, married for 1.5 years now.
Yeah, you're fine.
Pretty fresh. I would say like continuous improvement is something that we kind of hold like at the center of our marriage. Of we always want to be able to get better, like on our own and in our relationship. He's a continuous improvement engineer, so that idea really kind of
Okay.
came from him. But he's like, we can always get better. And I was like, you're right, we can always get better. But that doesn't mean that it's easy in the moment to hear the feedback. I think sometimes something that I'm working on is like not internalizing so much, where I'm like, this is not like a true flaw of my character. It's just like I didn't handle the situation well, or this is how I made you feel, and I need to be better about understanding that. So I think it's definitely an area of growth for me, but I know that like it's important for us to improve and to have those conversations and like issue and receive feedback well and have conversations about it. But it definitely isn't easy because I'm like, I want to be a great wife. And I don't want to take it personally and think, oh, this says something bad about my ability to be a good wife. It doesn't. And I need to be better about like understanding that piece of it. But I think that's my biggest struggle in relationship feedback. But
Well, that's interesting. Like, you both kind of said a similar thing, which is true, which is like consistent feedback sort of normalizes it in a way where it's not as offensive. And I think we're so used to like being walled off that when we get like one piece of offense or sorry,
Yeah.
one piece of feedback, it's like
I know.
You're attacking me.
And so but just like working out, it's sort of like the more that you do it, the less horrible it is, and the more you realize that it's giving you growth or causing growth. That's sort of an interesting thing that I have not thought about, like the frequency of feedback being this.
Oh, when it becomes just normalized.
Yeah.
And
yeah, 'cause
yeah.
it's like the reverse of like how you're talking earlier about offense has been so normalized that
Yeah.
like we're just
I know.
used to it.
Yes.
But if we just in the opposite way get more used to having constructive criticism and feedback to be able to get better and just viewing it differently. I think the biggest thing is just if you view it as like taking offense to it, then that becomes the normal when it's all the time. But if you view it as this is a way I can grow, or
You got to be the flat
Yeah.
puffer.
yeah, be the flat puffer.
Be the flat puffer.
You hated the salad analogy, but flat puffer is what you
Well,
want.
I
Hated
feel
the salad analogy because salad is
I
yummy.
feel like it makes
I
it
do. I
clear.
like salad. I'm just saying it's a thing. Well, I think this is sort of a good segue to another like tangent of sarcasm, because that's like hidden truth. That's like the passive aggressive thing. I'd be curious to know. We are from. Oh wait. Oh, this is going to be offensive. I'm gonna tell the truth. We're from 3 different generations, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Right.
That's true.
I think
So-
we're the same.
Yeah.
Right?
There's 3 generations represented here.
Gen X.
Yes. So I'd be curious, generationally, how do you guys feel about sarcasm?
I love it.
Me too.
I feel like I feel
love
off of it kind
Me
of.
too.
I love it. But sometimes I think that too is just like how you were raised or kind of the environment you were in. Like, I love it. I should say when it's like funny, we're being funny, we're having funny banter. I do not love it when it enters into like a conflict, and
Ooh,
you
do
know,
tell.
like
Yeah.
you know, like. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. You know, inside of, you're in an argument. You know, I don't like that and have been very guilty
Yeah.
of bringing it into a conflict. You can ask my husband, I'm like,
Love you, Jeff.
I know. But just like if you're sitting around and you're with friends and I think it's fun, but it can get a little out of hand.
That's fair.
It's got to be. It's got to be toned right. It can't be a jab that's too hard.
Well, I mean, because honestly, that's like that is the worst of both worlds, right? Where you're recognizing someone can't take feedback. And so you're going to do the low thing of hiding the truth.
There's always the person in the room that like everybody can be sarcastic. It's super funny. And then there's always the one that just one step too far and it shuts the whole thing down and nobody knows what to do.
So
Like, yeah, okay. Just
Oh,
slows
whoa, I
it
wouldn't
down.
say that, but okay.
I mean, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Well, so real example that because I don't get offended very easily. I also think everything's funny, which is probably horrible. Allie is like, yes, it is horrible. The one touchy subject for me is Enneagram number, because every Enneagram number in it like has like such great things and it's
Yeah.
so positive, so good, but nobody ever uses sevens in a positive way. It's always like, hey, you like forgot about this thing. That's so seven. Oh, well, he's a 7. Hey, we should make a plan for this. Yeah, we should. Oh, you're just a 7. Where it's like we're just literally floating through the world like aimlessly. But like I like hate it when it's used that way because it's like, and so it's funny how offense leads to shame and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's just like how my brain is wired, which is like, hey, this could be fun. We have a finite amount of years to live on the earth. We could make those fun. I know we're doing budgeting, but it could be fun. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I've had to learn to sort of pay attention to that and like not read into it too much. But that's like everyone's always sarcastic like about sevens. You know?
that is true because I'm married to a 7, so that is very true. I mean, eights feel very just differently about themselves in life all the time. So I don't, but it's a misnomer with 8s because people think we can't be offended. Like it's impossible to offend an 8. And that's not true. We have very sensitive souls.
way deep down.
We do.
Very deep
we really,
down.
really actually are incredibly sometimes hypersensitive. We just blow up like the puffer fish all the time. So people don't know that.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. But
Like, are you offended if someone's like, that is such an 8 thing? If somebody said that.
no.
You'd be like, yeah, it is.
I know because eights are the only numbers who like walk into the room and announce like that I'm an 8. Like I have come into the room.
Yep. I mean,
They're the only one that is like very like they wave the banner of what they are.
well, so again, I'm going to try to reel this back in. So we started this podcast with the idea of we really have like 60 minutes on a weekend to sort of unpack a lot of these ideas. And very rarely is there like a sermon idea or a sermon that's like you can sort of catch the breadth or the depth of it in that 60 minutes. And the idea of this podcast was, one, to sort of like give a little more depth on these ideas. But two was to be like, man, we're all connected to this in a different way.
Yeah.
Rarely does a sermon series, a set list, a moment in a service not have some connection or rub or friction point to what we're doing. And so I think with offense, we all have, obviously you have a connection to that. And so it's really cool for me to have a moment to hear some of these stories from you about like where this comes from, and it's a deep place. So this has nothing to do with what you're going to say, but just like a shameless plug for what we're doing. At the end of the service, we had a song called Confession, and it was written by my wife and her sister, and you should check it out. It's cool. Another shameless plug. I'm resisting the urge to be like, we'll link it in the description. I'm not going to. But anyway, it's sort of this idea, like confession, that moment in the service was sort of rooted in this idea of like, you get to fight for your rightness, or you get to sort of lay that down. And so I'd be curious to know, like, for any of you guys, and we'll start like service level, but like, do you feel like your first instinct is to fight for rightness?
I think it used to be for me. I think I used to want to fight for rightness. I think the older I get, the more aware I am of how wrong I can be. Like the more it's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
And so the older I get, the less I want to fight to be right. In fact, my tendency, at least internally, is to assume it was probably my fault. Like, what did I do wrong? What do I need to fix? Like, I'm sure that thing over there blew up because I probably should have planned better, or I should have thought better. Yeah, because I just think, I don't know if that's wise or not, but I feel like I grow in wisdom as I get older, and don't feel this passion for like, I just got to be right, because I just know. Like, there's so much I don't know, and there's so much I'm unaware of, and I become more aware of that the more I learn.
Yeah.
That's not to say, like, I don't get, like, that Jeff and I don't have arguments where I'm like, buddy, this girl knows, and I'm right.
Sure, Jeff, you are right.
You're right. I'm not saying that. I'm just,
Yeah.
I just find that to be true. And I just don't have time. Honestly, sometimes it's like a scheduling thing. I don't have time to be offended or need to be right all the time.
I don't have time
It
to be
takes
right.
a lot of time. And to be like, to spend mulling over all the ways that, you need to defend yourself. Or I just can't. Like, whatever, I don't have time for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say this. The thing that kind of hit me with sort of that phrase, so the phrase being like, I'm right versus I'm forgiven, is really comes down to a perspective. Very rarely is I'm right looking at the big picture. And I think even earlier we were talking about, like, Jesus had so many times where he could have just been like, guys, I'm right. But he had the bigger picture of like, right now, fighting for rightness sacrifices the bigger thing. And so I think the conversation, wow. The idea of right versus I'm forgiven is really a heart posture or a vision posture or a perspective of like, this thing right now really probably has very little impact on the bigger thing. And so I think it forced me to like go, hey, in these moments where I'm maybe fighting for rightness or being overly offended, it's not rooted in like the big picture. The big picture of like who I want to be.
That's good.
Who I feel called to be. It's really rooted in right now. And how, like, the thing I keep going back to is, and I'm raising kids. We're raising kids. Not we are. My wife and I are.
We know.
Sorry.
We get it. We got
Anyway.
it.
We help sometimes. You tag us in.
What? Yeah. Sometimes be like, Sky, I need you to come discipline my kids.
I don't know about that.
No, but you start to lose when you're fighting for rightness in a moment. You've officially lost perspective of what's happening in the moment.
Yeah.
Or in the bigger picture. You're focused really on the moment. And so I think as I was driving home on Sunday, just having that thought of like, where am I living with incorrect perspective? And that incorrect perspective leads me to this sort of overly offended nature and this overly I want to be right posture.
That sounds so much better than what I said.
What do you mean? Well, no.
No, I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, that's a much better way to say it.
I'm a deep
Good
person.
job.
I'm a deep 7.
I know you're deep. We know. 7s can be deep.
Fight the stigma.
I
Yeah.
know. I know.
That's right. That's right. I think I'm in this season of life where those are the friction points for me, are where my perspective is just, I'm not going to say wrong. It might be right to like be really focused on this, but ultimately the bigger perspective tends to lead to a place of I'm forgiven, not I'm right. Does that make sense?
So a huge hurdle for me to cross in this is when I finally realized, and I think this was like maybe last year, that more than one person can be right at a time. Like,
This is the most 8 thing ever.
Well, I was saying that earlier.
yes.
Yeah.
So say more. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I was telling Steven earlier that a big hurdle for me is my way to be right isn't the only way to be right. Like there are other perspectives.
Yeah.
Like just because I think this is the common sense way or this is the most efficient way or this is the best way doesn't mean it's the only way.
Yeah.
Right.
So like kind of how you said, like I'm looking at this little picture thinking everyone else should look at this the same way I do. But maybe there are other ways to do it or other ways to be right.
See,
Which
as
is
a
crazy.
as a 3 would say. See, 3s, we understand this. Like, what? Other people
Can be right?
If their favorite color is green, that's okay. What if it's not blue, which I think is the right one? That's okay. But like that, yes, that was a huge thing for me personally.
I think, like, you guys want to be right. I want to be right. Who doesn't want to be right? But I think part of it, and I don't think everyone thinks this way, maybe specifically you two, is like sometimes I think there's no way I can be right. What's the alternative? I think some people do think that way. Of like, there's no way I'm right. There's no way I'm right.
I think that's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of that is personality defined and how much of that is experience and for sure. Because I think, I think my husband is much better at this, at going, well, I'm probably not right in this. I mean,
I love this. This is so good.
it's because he's married to me, and I'm like, I don't know. Sorry, babe, I'm not doing very well with this explanation. All I meant to say is that maybe because 7's adults.
Well, like, so this is.
Say words. Say words. Do something.
No, I actually, this is so morbid, but I genuinely think about this, and I'm gonna like sort of package it for this. But like, imagine at the eulogy, right? And they're like, "Man, Heather, she was so right." Like, if I had to define her life in one word, it would be so right. And I know that's 2 words, but she was so right that I have to combine them. Versus like, whoa.
No, I'll go.
And I think like that would be such a funny legacy, but like that nobody ultimately
Right.
with the perspective
Right.
of your life, no, like that's not the end goal, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's the funny thing in these eras is that like we turn on this weird switch where it's like this matters so much right now that I'm right and I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And whatever it takes is being offended by literally
Everyone.
everything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to give a bad example here. Peanut butter.
I love peanut butter.
No, peanut butter's great.
What kind of peanut butter?
Here it goes.
I'll eat either. When I was first diagnosed with diabetes, I thought I could only eat peanut butter because I was like, oh, I've lost all the snacks in the world. I went through the big things in a couple days
I love
of
this is
crunchy
so good.
or creamy to the point where I was like, I can't eat peanut butter
But
for
what
like a year.
brand?
Oh, here we go.
This is important.
Jif, or I will go out on a limb. I'll do like Meyer brand or Kroger brand because ultimately most brands like that are actually the name brand, just a tiny bit different with a different label.
Yeah, a tiny bit different in the wrong way.
What kind of peanut butter do you eat?
Jif.
Crunchy or creamy.
is the matter
Normal?
with all of you?
That's creamy then.
What is the matter with all of you?
What one do you eat?
Okay, I do Skippy natural because the ingredients are actually peanuts. If you look at Jif, it's not. They're not even in there. It's like, rabbit oil.
Rabbit oil.
Delicious.
Don't
I'd like to go ahead and take a minute here while you guys are watching this podcast and talk about Jif, our sponsor for today. We love Jif.
We've been having this conversation because there was a jar of Jif in the creative suite, and I was like,
So offended.
what is that?
Literally, that's what she said. Like,
We were in the middle of a meeting. Why is that here? And someone remove it quickly.
that's actually so true. It was like out of her periphery. She was like, "What?" Like she didn't even look at.
Wouldn't
it.
even make eye contact.
Like I'm not going to give value to that.
Because I love peanut butter. I mean,
But Skippy
right?
natural.
In moderation, like all things.
Should have told me that a few years
A
ago.
little bit of Jif.
I love Jif.
Before I peanut buttered myself out. That was insane.
Well, hold on. Let's try to find common ground here.
Guys.
It's clearly not Caesar
Jif?
salad, and it's clearly not peanut butter.
Yep, that's right. Jif or Peter Pan.
Oh my word.
If it's like the Jif natural one that has like actual peanuts in the peanut butter, then I can go with you on it. I just can't do the regular red lidded Jif.
Or the blue lidded crunchy.
I do
But
like
that one
crunchy.
actually has to have peanuts in it because it's crunchy.
No,
And there's
it's just
peanut
like
crunches.
Yeah.
some dirt chunks. And
Oh,
you bite into it.
it's
We're
solidified rabbit
gonna
oil.
solve it. We need to
So
solve this.
next week we are doing a peanut butter shootout. That is a real thing.
We could do a blind taste test
Well, that's
to
what
see
we're
if
gonna do.
Heather can pick out.
Oh,
Do
I'm
you-
100% going to be right. 100%.
But no, answer the question. Peter Pan or Jif? Why was that so hard to say? Sorry.
Peter Pan peanut butter. It's like a tongue
You're trying
twister.
to enunciate. I actually don't know that I've ever consumed Peter Pan.
It's bad.
It's bad.
Okay. I don't actually think.
I told Steven this earlier this week. I think peanut butter is one of those few products where generic just sucks.
And toilet paper.
Yeah.
Generic toilet paper is always bad. Always bad.
Okay, so do we want to do that on this show?
I don't know, man. I feel like that needs like its own separate thing with some music
All right.
behind
It's
it.
a great
All right,
social
Yeah.
bit.
we'll do that. We'll do that. So check back on that. Okay, so closing comments on Offense Week 2. Before I do that, does everyone feel like they addressed these questions? Did I railroad anybody here?
Why are they looking at me?
I'm just checking, man. I'm
Okay.
checking in with you.
I'm good.
You know?
Right? Well, I think there's a couple reasons why I love this series. Just sort of putting a bow on this. One, the amount of people who I have told, like, hey, we're doing this series on no offense, and people are like immediately offended because it's like you can let's talk about sin. Let's just not talk about it. It's just
Yeah.
like the times that we're in where it's like talking about offense is offensive.
It's offensive. Yeah.
And so I love, there's something, I always feel like God is in the thing that you're most sensitive to talking about. And so I think my sort of prayer in this series is like, Lord, even if I've never recognized it, like bring those things to the surface that are like sensitive or offensive so that I can like actually do something with it. Because I think a church who's willing to say, I'm forgiven over I'm right is a place where God shows up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Because isn't that a place where you want to be? You want
Right.
to be with that. You want to be with those people.
Yeah, a lot of sevens. No, but I mean seriously, that's like the sort of the heartbeat of our church, and even the idea of we exist to show people who Jesus is rooted in the idea of forgiveness first,
Yeah.
rightness last. I don't know.
I don't think that's true. But I was just gonna keep nodding my head because you were so.
Rightness is somewhere in there.
I mean,
But it's not first.
we,
it's not first.
you don't have to be right.
Yeah, we never want to be right. We just totally bomb this.
Because as soon as we start saying that, somebody's offended because they go, "Well, what about truth?" Anyway, I just
100%. And it's not. That's a whole different podcast. But just the idea of perspective, right? You can live with the perspective of I need to be right in
Yeah.
everything, or
Oh, for
in
sure.
the
Yeah.
perspective of there's something else at play. Anyway, I love you guys. This was great.
It's fun.
We'd love to see you Sunday.
is that the new way, the old way?
What?
This way.
What is that?
It's a heart.
Oh,
That's
I saw
the-
from the other side and I was like, that
There's
is-
this way.
Yeah.
There's this way.
I don't know how to do that.
There's also this way.
I can only do this way.
What is that?
The little heart. See? Oh.
What?
Oh.
My sister does
we're
that
so
sometimes.
We are old. But I will
That's
say.
why we're here.
I was like, "Are you snapping?
Oh yeah, all that jazz.
What is going on?"
You like jazz?
We won't even get to the B movie this time. B movie can be on the next one.
Yes,
The B movie.
the B movie.
He just quoted
You like
it.
jazz? Barry B.
I
Benson?
haven't seen the B movie.
Wow.
Yet or ever?
That's why you don't like Taylor Swift.
That's okay. I didn't say that I didn't like her. I just
Most
said that
people
she's
don't.
not my. She's never in my
That-
top artists.
That's-
It's not a true statement.
What?
He goes, "Well, most people don't like her." I'm like, "Well, I kind of feel like
Actually,
the world loves
This
her."
is a divisive subject.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay, really quick. 30 seconds. Do you feel as passionate about peanut butter as you do ketchups?
Oh, I feel very passionate about ketchup.
What ketchup?
All right, we're gonna take 30 seconds and go down. What is your favorite ketchup?
Heinz Simply. It's actual. It's like real, and it doesn't have all of the like gross stuff in it.
So, is that the test though? Is it's like it is what it says it is?
Well, that it tastes like the actual food, like it actual has tomato taste. If you all tell me that you like catsup,
What?
I can't be on here anymore with you.
Like
What
like
is
the
that?
CATSUP?
What is-
She knows. She knows.
Not
Catsup.
not the CATSUP. Not
Right.
that one.
No.
There are
KATCHUP.
Yeah.
Ketchup.
There are
Good
actual
American
bottles
ketchup.
that say catsup.
I
And
can
that's yucky.
imagine what your favorite is.
We are a Red Gold family. My husband works at Red Gold.
It's great.
We are a Red Gold
Red
family.
Bull's good. Red Bull's good.
I've probably had it at a restaurant or something.
Oh,
Many restaurants have Red Gold.
I have
What? Why is that so funny?
I have offended.
it was like Red Gold is a huge company, and you're like, there's a lot of like it's
I probably like. I feel like now I've got to release a statement
about
on like
Red Gold.
how I support Red
No.
Gold.
Yeah,
And
That's
Red
okay.
Gold's
They are a
great.
local
You
business.
should try.
They
it.
are a local
They-
business.
They have a natural. It's called, or like an
Tomato
organic-
Love.
Is that what it is?
They had that for a while. We have a T-shirt at our
There's
house
one.
actually.
They have a ketchup that has sriracha in it.
Oh yeah, they did have a
No,
sriracha ketchup.
Why would you? Why?
I
Why
don't
do we
like a
have to keep
spicy.
blending.
I don't like a
things?
spicy, but
I
you
don't
know
either.
we have salsa. I say we. Speaking on behalf of Red Gold, that's our sponsor.
Doesn't sound.
There's
have a hanker.
enchilada sauce. There's pasta sauce. There's ketchup. There's any kind of tomato in any form or fashion you would want. There's salsa.
So.
What if we just put like? Can we do product placement and just see if they? You know,
We could. We could.
Honestly, I'll just ask
Well-
Dan. Can we get sponsored?
What I would really like to do is some origin stories, incorrect origin stories on how these companies are made.
Oh,
Like, I
do you
imagine
want me to
a
make
guy-
this up right now?
Yes. Well, because I think we're probably imagining the same thing. A guy's got like one of those sifting pans in the middle of Indiana.
Yeah, and he found a tomato, a single Roma, and he said, "This is my future." And then he decided to plant a bunch of them, and then he bought several other companies. Now there's 3 locations.
That's right.
And his name is
Red.
Bob the Tomato.
Or like, what did
What'd
he
you
say?
say?
What did he say
His
after he
name
was?
is
Eureka.
Which makes
There you go.
sense.
We struck
Last name
red
Gold.
gold.
Yeah.
We got red
he was
gold.
he was panning for red gold, and he found it in the fields
what?
of Indiana.
Well,
I feel like we have come to an amazing closing place 10 different times
Yes.
on this podcast. At
Yep.
least a minimum of like, and sealed. But anyway,
yeah. Would
Leave
you,
it-
do you want to close it?
Leave it to
I
us to find a
don't.
tangent.
no.
All right. Well, we love you guys. We'll see you Sunday. For more information, go to madisonpark.church. We'd love to see you there. Find us on socials. Yeah. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. For more information, visit madisonpark.church.